Hello, this is Mr. Inadequate with Story Time. In case you're wondering, the game is Spark in the Dark, and I'm here in the rest area because I figure it's the best place to put it. The music is cool, got a campfire, good time to tell stories. So this will probably be more fishing stories. Uh, Had a lot of weird things. First one I want to tell you about was fishing in a creek called 9 Mile Creek, uh, near where I live. It was April, early April, I think. Trout season had just started, and it was rainy, and we were in a spot that we stopped fishing after a while, but it was a good spot for a while. It was fairly deep, deep enough at any rate, and there was a strong current. And across from where we were fishing, there was a lot of bushes and stuff. And we were drifting worms. I was drifting worms on a bobber, and we caught a couple of trout. And something vicious took my bobber all the way down, and I set the hook, and it broke the line. And I'm like, damn. Because I had 6 pound test, I believe. A long time ago, hard to remember. I've used different pounds. And so I re-rigged, put on another worm, threw it out in the exact same spot. Bam! Bobber goes all the way down. And I set the hook, and it's a big fish. Figure it wasn't a trout because there are big trout in that creek, but not usually in the spot we were fishing. And I started getting up towards the surface. Snap, broke my line. I'm there, okay. One more try, and then I'm going to leave this sucker alone. So I re-rigged, put another worm on, threw it out. It went down again. Bam! Same fish, I could tell it was huge. Set the hook, and I'm battling this fish, and my friend who I was fishing with was going, would you stop fooling around with that carp? I don't think it's a carp. I get it up to the surface, and it is a huge bowfin. I have not seen a bowfin in that creek before. I haven't seen one since, but that's what it was. Saw the spot on the tail. Huge fish. Snapped my line, and I left it alone. We moved down, started fishing. Caught some more trout. Okay, that's story one. Now, story two. This is one of two Bundyville, New York stories. I was living in Bundyville, which is a tiny place between Oswego and Fulton. In our backyard, there was two sections to it. There was the backyard by the house we were living in, and then there was a trail that went down to the Oswego River, and there was part two of our backyard, which fronted on the river. And I was down there fishing with another friend, not the bowfin friend, and I hook into this fish, and that friend, Mark, watched the line peel out of my reel, and he said, damn, that fish is running upstream faster than you can walk on the bank. And it tied me up into the bottom, got away. 2 nights later, Mark's brother Tim catches a 45 pound gar. And we figured that's what I had hooked the previous night. It took him a long time to get that one in. Another Bundyville tale. It was late spring. Carp were moving around. The river was pretty clear. You could see into it along the shore. And I'm fishing a worm, and I'm just sitting there relaxing, because part of fishing is enjoying nature. And this carp comes along and takes my worm. I was down there battling the carp. It was bass tackle, fairly light, not the lightest tackle, not a micro setup, but it was fairly light tackle. And I'm battling this carp and battling this carp, and Tim's wife, Nancy, comes down and gives me a sandwich. She said, I figure you're probably going to need to eat lunch down here by the bank. I landed it. It was a 40-plus-pound carp. I've had people tell me, "Oh, that's too big. Carp don't grow that big in upstate New York." Yeah, not the biggest carp I've seen. I've seen some huge carp up the St. Lawrence River, living submarines. Anyway, this is going to be a short video, by the way. Last Bundyville tale. So it's in the middle of summer, probably August, late August maybe. And there was a weed bed that grew along part of the shore where our yard goes into the river. And I went down to go fishing, and Tim and a lot of his friends were down there fishing, and they had all the good spots. The only spot I had was by the weed bed, and from the shore to the edge of the weed bed was probably 2 foot across, 3 maybe. But it dropped off fairly quickly, so there, the water was probably 3 or 4 foot deep at that part. So I went over, I got a minnow and a bobber. I plunked my setup right on the edge of the weed bed, and I had a chair. I sat back in the chair, and everybody's laughing at me, going, "Look, Mr. Inadequate's fishing in the kiddie pool." And I pulled a 40-pound northern pike out of the kiddie pool, and everybody was pushing me out of the way trying to get to my spot, which was no longer the kiddie pool. I thought that was great. They said, "How'd you know that would be there?" I said, "Look, it's a weed bed. It parallels the shore. You knew a bass or a pike or something fairly sizable was going to be patrolling that weed bed up and down, looking for unwary prey." And sure enough, that's what I caught. Mr. Patroller, the pike. So anyhow, short video, like I said. I had a request for more time, storytelling time, and I just figured I'd tell some fish stories. Another one was I was fishing 9 Mile Creek, and I'm trying to remember which one I'm telling here. Anyhow, we were there with my friend, my hiking friend Frank, and his dog Spanky, a beagle. Now, all of a sudden, Spanky wandered here and there, and this was spring. All of a sudden, there is a yike from Spanky, and he ends up in the creek with a mighty splash. And we're, what the hell? He'd found a fawn in the reeds, because it was swampy where we were fishing. And Mama Doe came by and kicked him into the creek. Oh, that reminds me. We were fishing in the Finger Lakes, the small feeder creek, which had some small trout in it, but they were hard to catch. And Spanky was with us, and he found a dead deer, and he rolled in the dead deer. Now, in order to get the stink off him, we had to throw him in water, but the body of water we were fishing wasn't big enough. So we all piled into the Jeep and drove to the nearest lake, which was about 6 miles away. That goddamn dog stank so much, I had my head out the Jeep window gagging, trying to breathe. And Frank threw him into the lake about 4 or 5 times, and he was tolerable after that. At least told me to tell that tale. So anyhow, this is Mr. Inadequate, in Spark in the Dark, telling story time. And I hope you enjoyed it.